Hi everyone, my name is Chrys. Today I am talking about Ghost of Death. In Ghost of Death, there's a character named Avrianna Heavenborn. She is a detective in this story and a character that I've been writing about for a very, very long time. I started writing about her when I was 12 years old. I got the idea for her world and this character just randomly. One day I was playing basketball all by myself outside and I took a break. I sat down on a grassy hill next to my home and I was playing with the grass with my fingers and I felt something cold brush against them. I thought maybe it was a penny or, fingers crossed, a secret key, maybe to a secret garden. At the time I was all about the secret garden. I loved the idea. If I could have found my own secret garden, I would have been in heaven. Unfortunately, it was not a key or even a penny. It was a screw, a little rusted screw with a crooked tip. Now, the strange thing is, when I was holding this pathetic little screw, I got an idea that what if this screw was a key? Maybe it was a key to a secret world, another world, maybe one connected to my world. And I started to think, what would I find if I could open that door with this little screw and see that world? What kind of people would be there? What would they be like? What would the world be like? Would it be like ours? And all these ideas just came one right after the other. I ran into my house, I got a notebook, I got a pen, and I ran back out to that very spot because I feared that if I went anywhere else, I would lose all of these ideas and wouldn't be able to write them down. And I wrote. I wrote until I had to go inside because it got too dark. And surprisingly, I continued to write. I wrote the next day. I wrote the next day after that. I wrote until I was 17. When I was 17, I was writing book 4 of this series based on that one moment and the character I created, Avrianna. At that time, she was 12 when I first got the idea. She was my age. And as I got older, she got older while I was writing, book 2, book 3, and book 4. But when I was 17, all of a sudden, I got stuck on book 4. I could not move forward. I struggled to write. I ran just headlong into the biggest writer's block of my life at that time. I had no idea what writer's block was. I was 17. I've been writing since I was 12. I didn't think it was possible for me to get writer's block, but I did. And it was so severe that I didn't write for a very long time. And then I got the idea, well, maybe it's because I first started writing about Avrianna when I was 12 and she was 12. She grew up with me, but the story didn't resonate anymore. I think it was probably because some of the story felt too young, although the characters were getting older, and it just didn't speak to me anymore. That's when I knew that I needed to start again. I started all the way back from book 1, aged Avrianna, where she was an adult, and she had a job as a cop. And I started writing book 1, and in 2 months, I was done with book 1, and I started book 2. And for many years, I've been working on these books for many years. I have completed all 4 of these books, but book 3 and book 4, I have not edited or revised since I have finished them. Book 1 has been revised practically to death, over and over again. Every time I would feel like it just wasn't good enough, and I would change it. I would fix it, I would add more. And now, after many years of working on book 1, I am actively sending it out, hoping for representation. And book 2, right now, I'm actually working on to reflect some of the changes that I did in book 1. But Avrianna, she's been in my life for a very long time. I love this character and I love her world. And the thing is, in Ghost of Death, you actually do not know that the story is set in another world. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One, it was a short story, 35 pages. I didn't want to take the time that it would require to explain and show the world in what it deserved. And another reason was because I didn't want my publisher to own that world. And I wanted that world only for Avrianna's books. So although Avrianna is the detective in Ghost of Death, I don't mention her world. But the story is supposed to be based in another world that is very much like ours. And if you were to read Ghost of Death, you would see some little clues in there, like the bar. I believe the bar that my characters go to, it's the Galaxy bar. And it's been a long time since I've checked, so I believe that's the name of the bar. And then the drinks at this bar are also like, the names are inspired by, astronomy and space and everything like that. And, those were sort of my little hints that this world is not our world. And I kind of had fun kind of getting that in there. Now, Avrianna is a very different character. She has silvery blonde hair. Now, when I say that, I really mean it's more like a pearly white color. It's not like old lady white or old lady gray or silver. It's more of a majestic, magical, silvery color. But it doesn't look too silvery. It looks more of the pearly white with a little gleam of silver in the right light. And her eyes are very bright green eyes. And something special about her is when she gets angry, her eyes glow. They actually glow sort of like a neon sign, but they're bright green. And she can create green flames with her hands and throw these green energy balls. She's a very special character. And she's just so much fun. She's powerful, she's tough, and she has an interesting background. I'm going to read you a little snippet, a little part of the scene, so you can get just a little bit more information about Avrianna. Now, this is in Ghost of Death. I'm going to pull it up on my computer. Jolie moved in front of Avrianna on the other side of her body. She knew a lot about Avrianna Heavenborn from studying articles about her in journalist class, but never before had she had the opportunity to get near her. She liked being able to scrutinize the detective. Avrianna had an oval face, sharp cheekbones, and a small nose. Her slim brows were arched perfectly, although Jolie doubted she ever brought tweezers to them. She didn't even appear to have a spot of makeup on her face. Lucky for her, she didn't need it. Jolie arched one of her own brows and spoke aloud. People say you're a freak because sailors found you floating in the ocean as a newborn, but they don't say how freakishly beautiful you are. So that kind of hints at, Avrianna's past. If you caught that bit about sailors finding her as a baby floating in the ocean, right away how is that possible? How can a baby survive in the ocean? How can sailors find a baby floating in the ocean and this baby's fine? And, how can a baby survive that? Obviously, this baby has to be magical, have, supernatural powers. And Avrianna does. And she has a very interesting background. I hint a little bit of that background in the beginning of Ghost of Death when Avrianna first sees Jolie's body and wonders if Jolie had run away from home. Because Avrianna, at one time in her life when she was about 16, 17, she had lived on the streets. And I kind of hinted at that too. And it's a lot of fun bringing a character that you have written about for so long in a lot of other books, and you bring that character into even just a short story like this. It's just so much fun because you get to tease readers about this character. You get to introduce some readers to this character even well before their books get published, because as we know, I still have not published Avrianna's books, although I hope to one day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I intrigued you enough to want to read about Avrianna. A lot of people who read Ghosts of Death say she's the most fascinating character and they want to know more about her. And I swear I will one day get these books out so everyone can learn more about Avrianna and her world. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.